Hi, everybody. Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you're joining us from, particularly in Nigeria. In Lagos, Nigeria, it is evening, so good evening, Nigerians and everyone. So thank you for joining us today. Thank you for your time, taking our time to learn in the community. So once again, this section is powered by the Nigerian Azure community, Lagos, Nigeria. So it's the continuation of our study series we started in November, first week of November, and we've been seeing success stories of how people are doing more and how people are benefiting from the section. So today's section is not going to be different. It's going to be an impactful section as well. And that section is going to be led by our very own MVP, Emmanuel Itoje, who is a Microsoft MVP, and he has an experience as an IT professional in terms of cloud infrastructure, cloud services, and other options as well as the AI, most particularly Azure AI as well. Because today section is going to be focusing on the overview of Azure AI's offerings. He's going to discuss. Today's session is going to be focused. Yeah, he's going to discuss around um, Azure machine learning cognitive services, which is now Azure AI Search, I believe. So we're also going to be talking about bot service in the section as well. So Emmanuel, today is your day, and I would like you to share some of the insights, some of the things you feel that the participants should expect from you, from the section.
All right.
Emmanuel.
Hi. Thank you so much. Thank you
Yeah.
so much for that introduction, Imo. Right. So in today's session, one of the things I try to focus on is to give an overview of all the available AI services that we have. Then during the last Microsoft Ignite that happened just this week, right? There were announcements around the Azure AI Studio being renamed to Azure AI Foundry. So I'm going to actually show that as well in the
Okay.
demo. So we're going to look at a lot of overview about each of those AI services, basically.
Okay, thank you very much, Manuel. So the floor is yours. And for the participant, if you are not here physically, this recording will be made available in our YouTube channel. A link will be shared in the WhatsApp group chat. So whether you join live or you don't join live, you have the recording for you. Thank you. Emmanuel, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, Imo. Thank you so
Welcome.
much,
Yeah.
everyone, for joining. I can see Chisom, I can see Mohammed, and I can also see our first joiner, Masili Adebaya. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining. So I'll be sharing my screen now so that we can actually get started. So please confirm if you can see my screen. I just started sharing. And confirm if you can see my screen.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you so much. Excuse me. So today we'll be looking at overview of Azure AI services. So some of the things we'll be checking today: introduction to Azure AI service. What are Azure AI services itself? Then we'll look at Azure AI service availability. Then Microsoft has retired some of Azure AI services. So we'll actually, let us know about those ones too. Then the ones that are still currently active, we'll look at them. Then we'll check the pricing tiers overview based on the pricing tier that are available for us. Then we look at customization and configuration tool. Then looking at Azure AI service in the ecosystem of Microsoft itself. Then regional availability as well as the language support. So what are Azure AI service? So Azure AI services basically enables developers to quickly create intelligent applications, right? And these services include the natural language processing, the search services, the monitoring services, the translation services, the speech services, and also the vision and decision making. So basically, they offer an out of the box APIs and models that are actually pre-built and they are also customizable. Now, for Azure AI service availability, it is actually accessible. We can access Azure AI services either through a REST APIs or we use via a client library known as the SDK as well. So these are, and it's also available through popular programming language. So whether you're writing a Python, you're writing C Sharp, and some other programming language, you can actually, Azure AI Services actually supports those languages. Now, for some of the retired Azure AI service, they are actually very interesting services that Microsoft is actually set to retire. And basically, Azure AI services that are scheduled to retire, these are actually the list of them. Actually, those services are still available for existing applications. So for people that have actually built applications with any of the services are still available. But Microsoft doesn't recommend, using it for any new application. So one of the services that is going to retire is the anomaly detection, and this is actually to identify potential problems early on, right? So this service is integrated into your applications, and with the help of these services, you can actually, identify potential problems. Then another service that will be retired is a content moderator. So it helps you to detect potentially offensive and unwanted content. So when you have content, maybe on the social media or in your applications, this with this Azure service, you'll be able to dictate any unwanted content. Then we have the language understanding, right? This actually understand that natural language in your applications. So when you've built an applications and integrate this particular Azure service into the applications, it helps you to actually understand the natural language. The metric advice is also another Azure service that will be retired, which is actually to help us detect unwanted content as well. Then the personalizer, which you actually use to create personalized experience for each users. So for this applications too, is going to be retired by Microsoft. Then the lastly is the Q&A maker. So the Q&A maker is actually one of this uninteresting Azure service that people use. For example, maybe you have a website that you have an FAQ page, for example, now. So it helps to answer frequently asked questions, right? So it distills information into easy and navigated question and answer solution. So that's actually one of other services that Microsoft is going to retire. Now, looking at our services that we'll be looking at today, though this is just an high level overview of everything, we're actually going to look at them in details. So we have the Azure AI Search, we have the Azure Open AI, which Microsoft introduced with the collaboration with the Open AI. We have the bot service, or we have the content safety, we have the custom vision, we have the document intelligence, you have the face. So there's a service called the face, the immersive reader, the language, the speech, the translator, the video indexers, and the vision itself. So let's look into what each of those following in details. So what is an Azure AI search? So Azure AI search was actually formerly referred to as the Azure Cognitive Search. Before now, Azure AI services were actually called Azure Cognitive Services. So if it's a search service, then it will be called Cognitive Search. So that's why Microsoft renamed it from. That's why it is being called a Cognitive Search. Right, and it's an enterprise-ready search and retrieval system with a comprehensive set of advanced search technologies that are built for high-performance application at any skills. So with this Azure AI Search, it is actually a recommended retrieval system for building so the RAG based applications. RAG simply means the retrieval augmented generation application, right? On Azure is even native to LLM, large language model integration between the Azure OpenAI service as well as the Azure machine learning, and it has multiple strategy for relevant tuning. So with this, it's more or less like your Google search, but it does a lot about your internal documents. And as Azure AI search can also be in both traditional as well as a generative AI scenario. So if you want to use a traditional one like using the normal Google search or the Gen AI scenarios, like if you use the Microsoft Edge browser today now, and you type something in the Bing, you have the option for the normal traditional search. You also have the option for co-pilots that can actually help you. So Azure AI search is actually one of the things that's actually working behind the scene for that. Now, common use cases for an Azure AI search include a knowledge-based insight, so which involves both catalog or document search, then information discovery, talking about data exploration, then the retrieval augmented generation, the RAG, and also the indexing automations. So that is one of the services that are available for us in the Microsoft Azure AI Service. Now, the second one we mentioned when we were talking about the Azure AI Search as a link between the Azure OpenAI and also the machine learning. Now, the Azure OpenAI service provides REST API access to the OpenAI powerful language models, including the O1 Preview, the O1 Mini, GPT-4o, GPT-4o Mini, GPT-4 Turbo with Vision. So different GPT that is available from the OpenAI. This Azure OpenAI actually provides a REST API, so you can actually make a call to that OpenAI services with the help of any of these models that are available, and the models can easily adapt to your specific tasks, including but not limited to either content generation, you want to summarize something, or even image understanding, semantic search, and as well as the natural language code translation. So this Azure OpenAI search is available for such services. Now the next one is the bot framework composer. Now the bot framework composer was actually built on what we call the bot framework SDK. So there used to be an Azure Cognitive Service called the bot framework SDK, right? And it is renamed to the bot framework composer. And that's actually what Microsoft did. They built that bot framework composer on the bot framework SDK. And this is actually an open source IDE for developers to author, to test, provision, also manage conversational experience. So from the composer itself, you can actually test your bots, and you can also publish it to Azure. Now, the composer as an application is available as a desktop application. That means you can actually download it on your Windows, on your Mac, on your Linux. And if the desktop app is not suited to your needs, you can use you can build the composer from a source, or even the hosted composer. You can even host it on the cloud. So those options are available from Microsoft. And the composer itself provides a visual authoring canvas for authoring dialogue experiences. So as the name implies, the bot. So you're having a dialogue with the bot, and it lets you to model a conversational experiences where content switching, interruptions, and even natural and dynamic conversation flows are actually very important. And in a situation whereby you have a more complex activities such as integrating with REST web service or other dependencies that are actually best suited towards code, the composer itself provide mechanism to extend your bot with code. So that is another Azure AI service that we have in Azure. Now, the next one is the Azure Content Safety. Now, the Azure Content Safety is a AI service that detects harmful user-generated and AI-generated content in applications and services. Now, if you want to be, let's say, for example, you're a content creator, for example, now, and you want to use AI system to to generate content for you. With the help of this Azure AI Content Safety, it helps you to detect, okay, this particular content is actually an harmful one, whether it is a user generated or even AI generated. And the AI content safety includes both the text and the image APIs that allow you to detect materials that is harmful. And the interactive content safety studio, which is actually where you view, you explore, you even try sample code for detecting harmful content across different modalities. And content filtering software that uses this Azure AI content safety can help your application comply with regulations, and it can also help you to maintain the intended environment for your users. So this helps you generally with your content. Now, the next Azure AI service that is available to us today is the Azure Custom Vision. Now, the Azure AI Custom Vision is an image recognition service. It helps you to build, to deploy, and also improve your own image identifier models. So with the custom vision, you are building a custom email models there, and the image identifier that you use, applies label to images according to their visual characteristics, and each label represents a classification or an object. And for custom visions, it allows you to specify your own label, and you can train the custom models to detect them. So this model allows you to actually build a solution in which you can actually, okay, this particular image, right, that I'm seeing, can I label it on my own? Can I also train my models to detect such an image? Now the next one, which is one powerful tool, one powerful AI service that we have in Azure, is the Azure AI Document Intelligence. Now this used to be called the Form Recognizer. Now, one of the use case for this particular one, I remember there was a time I went to the hospital, right? I used my HMO. They gave me a form to fill. After filling the form, the front desk still needed to carry the form and type it into the computer. Now, with the help of this Azure AI document, instead of you already have a model, a pre-built model, or you can even be the custom model. It could even be a composite model, right? All they just need to do is just scan the form into the model, and this will help you extract the relevant information that you actually need to input in the system. So the Azure AI Document Intelligence is actually a cloud-based Azure AI service that uses machine learning models, and the goal is to automate your data processing in applications and workflows. So it helps you to automate your data processing. Imagine where we are in Nigeria here, we have a tax form that will fill or will file a tax form, right? The people working in the tax office can use that form, just use those models to actually go through, and it scans everything, all the information, they get all the data, they get all the workflows, and everything is automated by this particular AI model. Now, AI model enables you to actually build intelligent document processing solution, because the idea is to process documents, be it a custom document or even document that are actually generally available to some regions in the United States. For example, they have a particular form that models has already been built, and it also allows you to also build your own model too. So document intelligence generally is essential for enhancing data-driven strategies and enriching document search capability. This works closely with the Azure AI search, and it enables you to effectively manage the velocity at which data is collected and processed, and is key to improve operations. So it helps you make an informed data-driven decisions and also enlighten innovations. So this is one very powerful tool that no matter the massive amount of data, the solution is available to help you to automate the process, whether the data is stored in form of forms or in form of a document. Now, the next Azure AI service we'll be looking at is a face service. Now, this face service provides AI algorithms that detect, recognize, and analyze human faces in images. And the facial recognition software is actually important in many scenarios, such as in identifications, like touchless access control, then automatic face blurring for privacy. So these capabilities are actually available in this particular Azure AI search. Now, the face service is actually, it has a limited access based on eligibility. Unlike every other Azure AI service that is available, the face service is only available to Microsoft managed customers and partners, except, and you have to actually use your face recognition engine form to actually apply for the access. And this again, one of the things by principle of responsible AI, like the police departments in the United States are not even allowed to use this, because if you're going to use to build a project for the police department to recognize people's face, right, it's against responsible AI principle. And the next service that we have with Azure is the Azure AI Immersive Reader. Now, the Immersive Reader is actually part of the Azure AI services. Is an inclusive design tool that implements proven techniques to improve reading comprehension for new readers, language learners, and even people with learning differences, such as people that has this particular disease. And that's, yeah. So for such, this immersive reader is one Azure AI service that is available even on some of the browsers that we use today, because Microsoft is all about inclusivity. Want to include everybody, into their solution, ensuring that this is actually part of solutions that Microsoft even built by default. And this tool is actually improving techniques to improve reading comprehension for people that are emerging as readers, the people that want to learn new languages also. This particular tool is also available for them, and people with learning differences. There's some people that maybe they can't see, but they can use their finger to feel the alphabet, or they can even listen to what is currently on the screen, right? What is happening in the back end is actually the immersive reader doing. And so with immersive reader client library, you can actually leverage the same technology that is used in the Microsoft Word or even the Microsoft Outnotes and OneNote to improve your web application. So one of the things that Microsoft actually, appreciate is when an application is going to be built right by their engineering team, this immersive reader is part of a requirement that must be part of the application. Now, another AI service available is the Azure AI language. Now, Azure AI language is a cloud-based service that provides natural language processes, NLP. The feature is for understanding and analyzing text. Now, we are already in the age of even NLP being as a processor. Like today now, Microsoft partner with some the likes of what's the name of this Intel and some other hardware processor manufacturers, right, to have a processor that for natural language, because as we enter the age of AI, there is need for high processing. Apart from the normal processing that process every other thing, then a natural language process is also one of the things that is also included, especially like the Copilot PC that Microsoft introduced in the last build, for example. Now, one of the processors that is available is a natural language processor. So what this is leveraging is the Azure AI language. And this service actually helps to build intelligent applications using the Web Language Studio, the REST API, as well as the client libraries. Now, another service that is available is a speech service. Now, the speech service provide speech to text as well as text to speech capability, with a speech resource. So you have to definitely go into the Azure portal to create a resource called a speech resource. And the essence is that every of the services that you're provisioning in that speech resource, the goal is to provide either you're moving your speech to text, like today some applications, or you just have to instead of it typing, right, you can just speak and the system, the AI start typing on your behalf. Then something that is written already, like if you go on the web browser today, maybe you're using the Microsoft Edge, you don't want to actually, you want the browser to read those things out to you. That capability is available with the help of the Azure AI speech service. And you can transcribe speech to text with high accuracy and produce natural sounding text to speech voices, and also translate spoken audios and use speaker recognition during conversations. And you can also create custom voices and add specific words to your base vocabularies or build your own models. You can run speech service anywhere, whether in the cloud or even in a containerized system. The next service that we'll be looking at is the Azure AI Translator. Now, the Azure AI Translator is a cloud-based neural machine translation service that is actually part of the Azure AI service family, and it can be used with any operating system. Now, what the translation service does is that you can use it to translate text. Now, today we have people in other languages. Now, in Microsoft Teams today, one of the announcements during the Ignite and in Microsoft Teams today, one of the updates was that you can even be, being in a meeting with other people from other regions. There is no more language barrier. The translator is available in the Microsoft Teams, and that's automatically, as I'm speaking in English, the person that understands Chinese or Korean will be able to will get it translated automatically. So there is no barrier in terms of virtual meeting today because of this Azure AI translator. And again, Translator powers many Microsoft product services that are used by thousands of businesses worldwide for language translation and other language related operations. So the service they use the model neural machine translation technology that I mentioned, and the custom translator interface allows you to use your translation memory to create a customized neural translation system. The next we have is the Azure AI Video Indexer. Now, the Azure AI Video Indexer is a cloud-based application. It's also part of the AI service that is built on Azure AI service, such as we mentioned the face earlier, we mentioned the translator, then the last one we're mentioning is actually the Azure AI Vision and the speech. So this Azure AI Video Indexer basically leverages on all these other Azure AI services, the face, the translator, the AI Vision, as well as the speech, right? And the goal is to enable you to extract insights from your video and also audios, right? So if you're in a situation whereby you want to use the AI video indexers for video and also for audio models, now you can combine it with the support of every other AI services that were mentioned earlier to get this particular output based on the insight that you want to get from the video. So it basically analyzes the video and the audio content by running 30 plus AI models. So a lot of AI models are running on the back end for this to generate a rich insight. The next one, which is like the last one on the list, is the Azure AI Vision. Now, what AI Vision does is that it gives you access to advanced algorithms that process images, and it will return information, right, based on the visual features you are actually interested in. Now, this Azure AI Vision has like four services in between. So we'll mention one of them, which is face. So the first one is the optical character recognition, the OCR. Now, the OCR service extracts text from images, and you can use either the read API to extract printed or handwritten text, either from photos, from documents. And what this does is that it uses the deep learning based model, and it's work with text on various surfaces, various background. So even if you have text in a particular picture, with the help of this optical character recognition as part of the Azure AI service, it will help you to extract such text. The next one is the image analysis. Now, the image analysis extracts many visual features from images, such as the object, the face, if there's any adult content, if there's any auto-generated text description, right? So this image analysis, that is the work that is doing under the Azure AI feature. They were mentioned Face earlier that provides the AI. So it's actually called Face APIs, right, from the Azure portal. By the time we go into our demo, we'll see that. So the Face service provider, the AI algorithm that detects, recognize, and analyze human face in images. Again, I mentioned it is not available for everyone. You have to actually request. Then the video analysis from the last one we saw from the Azure video indexers, right? So the video analysis include video related features like the spatial analysis and also the video retriever also. So this video analysis is also part of the Azure AI vision. Now let's quickly look at the pricing tiers overview. Now for every Azure service, we have the free and the standard pricing tiers. Now, for the standard, right, it is actually based on the number of transactions that is sent using authenticated information. And for each tier, it specifies different pricing. So based on the particular the AI service that you're using, for each of them, so far you select standard, they all have different pricing. And for many of them, you have the opportunity to try them for free, right? So if you're trying them for free, I'm going to show us that you use the FO as the SKU to access the free tiers, and you can try that. You can try that particular Azure service. Now, the next thing we'll look at is the customization and the configuration too. Now, the Azure AI service offers development options with tools for customization as well as some configuration, which is actually distinct from those that is used to call the services, right? And most services provide out-of-the-box functionalities, right? Allowing data to be sent and also insight to be received without customization. So there are a lot of different tools that you can use in the Azure AI service to actually call stuff from the service. Now, also, for generally speaking, for an Azure, there are some subscriptions that are actually required. First of all, you need to have an Azure account. It is actually necessary to accessing any Azure services at all. So without Azure account, you cannot even have access to the Azure AI service. Then also you need to have Azure service resource that will actually be created, right, for that particular Azure service that you like to use. Then for you to store your code, for collaboration, you also need a GitHub account that you need to actually create for code repository as well as collaboration. Now, apart from deploying services in the cloud, right, there is actually opportunity for you to deploy some of your some of your Azure services on-prem, right? Now, for development, in terms of flexibility, Azure service can be deployed in containers, right? And the goal is to allow on-premises access and use. Now, today we'll talk about GDPR. Organizations are having their own data, right? And they don't want a situation whereby those data will be hosted in the cloud. They want to host those data in their own on-premises container. So Microsoft is that flexible to allow you to use your on-premises container. Then in terms of our operational benefit, right, you can bring service closer to your own data. And the goal is to enhance compliance and security so that you don't go against the GDPR or NDPR since we are currently in Nigeria. So there are a lot of on-premises container that Azure AI service can actually use. I will share the link later for that. Now, in terms of the Azure AI service ecosystem itself, right? There is opportunity for automation and integrations, right? And the two tools, Microsoft tools that are available for those is the Azure Logic Apps as well as the Power Automate. So Power Automate is part of the Power Platform, the Power Apps, Power Automate, Power BI, Power Virtual Agent, while the Logic App is part of the Azure service, right, on your Azure portal. Then for deployment options, we have either you deploy with the use of the Azure functions as or you use the app service on the Azure itself. Then because AI service requires data, so there are also big data too that you actually need to use, right? So either use the Apache Sparks, use the Azure Databricks, you can even use the Azure Synapse Analytics, or even the Azure Kubernetes services, right? So those big data tools can help you to enhance those your AI service that you're trying to deploy. Then for regional availability, right? APIs in Azure services are hosted on Microsoft managed data center. And Microsoft has a lot of data center that is constantly growing across the world, right? So it's always very important that you check based on the region that you have. So for regional availability, is this particular Azure AI service available for my region? And if it's available, you can always submit if you want to request for features, you can always, submit a request on user forum for Microsoft to consider maybe the region you're currently in or you want to, because a lot of times when I discuss with fellow MVPs in the Azure, in the AI categories, one of the limitations that they get to experience is that, oh, a particular service they want to use is in a particular region, but it's not in the particular region that they actually currently have their application hosted. So most times they tend to request to Microsoft if there's possibility that this particular Azure service can be made available in that particular region. So in case when there is a region that a particular service is not supported, the user voice forum is there for you to actually make such request. Now, around security, right? So it's very important that you consider security of your data. We mentioned data privacy and data security, right? So there must be a layer security model. Now, Microsoft talks about the zero tolerance right model, zero trust model, right? So it's very important that you also apply that to your Azure AI services. So unless the users are authenticated with their Microsoft Entra ID credential, they shouldn't have access to such information. And it's also very important as you deploy Azure services, they are actually valid resource keys that are actually provided for you that you must also ensure that that is actually secure. Then for the Azure virtual networks too, you must enhance security using network isolations. And around certifications and compliance, right? So for Azure AI service itself from Microsoft is actually certified as a Cloud Security Alliance STAR certification. Then the FedRAMP moderate also is also certified, as well as the IPA PPE. And lastly, before we jump into a demo, so for help and support are actually available for Azure AI services. So there are various support options that are available, and there are also support available for creation of intelligent applications. We have the community support also that are available. So AI service has a strong developer community to help answer specific questions. Then there's also a full list of support options that are available, for you as you try these services. So let's jump into the demo so we can see. Let me quickly share my screen. stop sharing to share again. Right, let me share my screen again. Let's confirm if you can see my screen here.
Yes, I can see your screen.
All right, thank you so much. So if you navigate to portal.azure.com, right? Let me just go back home. If you navigate to portal.azure.com, you'll be able to see different Azure services that are available for you. Now, if you click on this hamburger icon, and you come to all services here. So Microsoft Azure make it easier for you to locate services in Azure. Either you use the search bar here, especially if you know the specific service that you're looking for. So you can use the search bar. It's actually your best friend on Azure in case you cannot even remember the particular service you're looking for. Then Microsoft also make it easier. Under services, different services are categorized. And now under the category, the first service you're going to meet is the Azure plus machine learning services. So after this session, the second session that is coming up is a session on machine learning in which our speaker is going to actually dive deep into the machine learning. Now, for Azure AI machine learning platform, we have the Azure AI Studio and also the Azure machine learning. Now, this Azure AI Studio, Microsoft renamed it during the last Ignite when Satya renamed made the announcement during the Ignite that this has actually been renamed to Azure Foundry. So if you go to ai.azure.com, so it's still the same Azure AI Studio, but Microsoft renamed it and added a lot of capabilities into it. So Azure AI Foundry, that is actually the new name. Let me go back here again. So for Azure AI services, so we have it comprising of both services and API. So we mentioned some of the services earlier on. So this is our AI search service. So if I need to create an AI search application, right, and I want to integrate it to Azure, all I need to do is just come into the AI service here. So it's actually the same for everything because even from here, it shows us all the services, both the ones that have been that Microsoft announced to retire, like this anomaly detection I mentioned. So if you want to create a service, you can either create a standalone service, right? For the standalone service means that that particular resource that I'm creating will only be used for this particular AI service, which is search. And by default, again, what we know is that before you be able to create any resource group, you must have a subscription. So depending on maybe you have one or multiple subscriptions and the particular subscriptions you like to use for that particular service, you just select the subscription and once you select the subscription, you can put in the resource group. And if you already have a resource group created before now, all you just need to do is just click on the drop down and you select the resource group that you would like to use. I'm not creating that for now. I just want to show us other things before I create anything. Now, if you come down to, let me select this again. I want to show us something. If you come down here, so you see the list of all the services, the Azure AI services down to, if you look at this, you have the Azure AI services multi-service account. Now, this multi-service account means that you can create any of these Azure AI service inside this particular resource group. That's what it means. So when you create a multi-service account now, that multi-service account is not limited by any means at all. It's not limited by any means. That means if I want to use that same particular resource, that same particular resource for that particular service, I'll be able to use it. The only thing there is that for the multi-service account, you only have standard tiers. You don't have free tier for it. So the difference between the multi-service account, first of all, you can use for any of the Azure AI services that are available. Then the second thing is that you only have the standard tier available for you. There's no free tier. But for the every other service that we have for the Azure AI service, if you are creating an individual service, right? you're creating individual service, let's say I want to create Azure Open AI service, right? By the way, Azure Open AI service used to be, you have to make requests before now, but now Microsoft has actually made it available for us. So let's see if I click on create, for example, now, because I'm creating just this particular service now, I should have it is just for standard. Okay, for OpenAI standard here for it. Let me pick a default service that used to be here, the search service. So for this search, it's always giving you the standard tiers also. All right, so for the free tiers, yes, you have the option to select the free tier for it here. So which is actually the F4. If you select this now, it's going to change that particular one to the free tier, but definitely I'm going to have limitations of the service. Right, so creating Azure service resource group is actually straightforward. So I'm going to create a resource for let's say I want to create for a document intelligence. I think I already have two created. So let's click on create here. So I want to use this particular resources, subscriptions rather, then resource group. Let me select this one I have before. So depending on the region, so like I mentioned, some services are available for some regions, while some are not available, right? So you select the region. So I'm going to leave it as default the East US. So I can name this to, okay, so this was what I mean by service tier, right? So for if you're creating that standard result, so you have the free tier here for me, then I have the standard for me. So for someone that doesn't really have you just want to play around with it, you can just select the free tier for it. So once you do, okay, so you're saying this is already used. That means somebody has used this before. All right. So basically, this is where you create the resource. Now, I wanted to show us how you use those resources, even though this is just an overview. So why that is creating? Okay, let me just click on create to create because I have very few minutes left for question and answer. Now, if I go to the Azure AI, ai.azure.com, which is actually formerly known as the Azure AI Studio, now called the Azure AI Foundry. Now, because I think I created this particular project recently, right? That's why it's giving me this. But let me go back to the overview. So the same thing that was available for the Azure AI Studio is available in the Azure AI Foundry. The only thing is that it has more functionalities, it has more features, it has a lot of more things, right? That AI Studio was actually added to the AI Studio. Now I mentioned for security. So for every Azure resource that is provisioned, right? You always have this API keys that you must actually ensure that you protect it, because once that particular API key is compromised, automatically somebody can actually gain access into your resource, and from there they can actually wreak an havoc for you. So AI Foundry is something that AI Studio is a place that you can always play with. You have playgrounds available. We have different models, like under this model catalog now to show you thousands of models that are available, right? It's still loading. Thousands of models that are available that you can actually, try your hands on, right? So it tells you things that are new. So it tells Susumi, which is not available. Susumi is actually lightweight. So if you have somebody that you want to build an application in Japanese, for example, now, so this Susumi is one of the new feature that is currently added. Now, these are different models. So it tells you I have 1,812 models, right? That I can actually try, you know, based on the applications that I'm building. All right, I will be stopping there. So if there are questions, please, the floor is open for questions. Thank you. Do we have questions?
Thank you, Eman. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
I think Dami Lola is around now, right? Afolabi.
Yeah.
So, okay. So thank you very much, Emmanuel, for that presentation. I will actually call on the real moderator for today to wrap up. And I stood in for you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for that amazing, fantastic presentation, Emmanuel. So does anybody have any questions regarding what was discussed today? Okay, without questions, I believe it's time to call on the next speaker for today.
No, we are using a different link for that, Afolabi. So let me share the link. That section will start by 5. So let me share the link. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, welcome. So just look out for the chat section for the link for the second section. So you just join. You can just click to join the second section immediately after this. All right.
I'm seeing a question from Mohammed. Say, do we need to be experts in maths for AI? All right. You don't have to be an expert in math for AI. So what Microsoft has done is that for Azure AI, right, they have pre-built models already for you that Microsoft has already built for you to try your hands on. And most of the time, some of the pre-built models, matches what you're currently working on, because a team of experts has already thought of, okay, this particular service, what are some of the use case that people want to use in their applications, right? Then apart from the pre-built model, Microsoft make available for you to have custom models. So for that, you might need to know programming language like the Python or C Sharp, right? For you to be able to build your custom model. So I mentioned during my presentation that one of the prerequisites that you must have is an Azure account. You must also have a GitHub account. So GitHub is where you do your code repository as well as collaboration. So for pre-built side of things, you don't need to be an expert in math for AI. So that's it. That's it. The long and short answer. Yeah.
Okay. Just to add to that, Microsoft, with the recent announcement at the Ignite section, Microsoft has made the way to learn AI very simple. So every step of the way is simplified. So you can simply start with the GUI. You may not need to bother yourself going into coding it first. At least familiarize yourself with the existing template, just as Emmanuel said. So from there, you can move higher. Thank you. So, I think we should round up this section so we can quickly join the other one.
Okay. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining the session. We look forward to meeting in the other session. Okay, Chisom. Chisom, you can actually unmute yourself instead of typing, because I've seen you've been typing since. Hi, Chisom.
Oh, okay. Chisom is typing. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good evening, guys. Thank you for that section, Emmanuel. I really appreciate it. I just wanted to ask, what are the capabilities of Azure AI video indexer, like exploring such as automatic transcription, like just on more insights, like just the further explanation on the capabilities of AI video indexer. That was what I think.
All right. Thank you so much. So what can I do with Azure AI video indexers, right? So I'll just mention a bit of them because you have like 10 minutes for the next session. First of all, you can do what we call deep search. So you use the insights to extract any insight that is extracted from the video to enhance the search experience across a video library. For example, now indexing spoken words and faces can, enable the search experience of finding moments in a video where a person has spoken certain words or when two people we are seen together. So search based on such insight from video is applicable to news agencies, educational institute, broadcaster, etc. Another thing you can do with an Azure AI video indexer is content creations. So you can use it to create trailers, you can use it to highlight reels, social media content, or even news clips based on the insights that the Azure AI video indexers has extracted from your content by using the keyframes, scene markers, and even timestamp for people and also to label appearances. Another thing you can use the Azure AI video indexers for is for accessibility. So whether you want to make your content available for people with disabilities, or if you want your content to be distributed to different regions using different language, you can use the transcriptions and also the translation provided by the Azure AI video indexers in multiple languages. Then also monetization, content moderation using you can use textual and visual content moderation models to keep your users safe from inappropriate content and also validate that the content you publish matches your organization's value. Like organization that has YouTube channel and they post content on their on the YouTube channel, so you can automatically block certain videos or alert your users about the content. Then another thing you can use the video indexers for is for recommendations. So video insights can be used to improve user engagement by highlighting the relevant video moments to users, by tagging each videos with additional metadata. You can recommend to users the most relevant videos and highlight, the part of the video that matches their need. So these are some of the things you can use it for.
Okay. Thank you very much for that clarity. But I would also want to ask, just in case, I'm not saying, just in case, maybe there's something like a bug or something, and the Azure AI video indexer isn't really working as it is supposed to work. Is there any workaround which we would be able to use that?
So bug generally from Microsoft, that's why we have the support, right? There's a general support channel. Like today, I see comments, I see videos on so for every Microsoft MVPs, for example, now we have a distribution group. When people are having challenges, they post those things, right? And we have support community that's okay, this thing I think is a bug. Like there was a project I was working on and it wasn't working the way it should work, even though I was following the documentation. So Microsoft is always there to support you for such scenarios. So they can always escalate to the product group to investigate further why that thing is not working according to the way it was supposed to work based on documentations.
For answering that. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome, Chisom. Muslim, you can go ahead. You still have 7 more minutes. Yes. These are an interactive session, so everybody is free to ask questions. Yeah.
Yeah, good evening. Thank you so much for that awesome session. So my question is around access to learning. I mean, everyone knows to learn on Azure is not cheap. So I don't know if you have any tip regarding that. So I know about the student account, the paid account. In fact, this year I've found like 4 of my friends that were students. I've used like 4 student accounts. Yeah, my friends who are MCT too have used that. And I don't even know if you have any tip regarding that.
All right. So one of the tips I will give you is find a way to become an MCT, right? But again, that's a joke aside anyway. Microsoft provides like $100 credit unit for students to practice. So if you're a student, if you even join the student ambassador program with Microsoft, right, there are a lot of benefits, perks that are even available because the student ambassadorship program is one of the community, apart from the Microsoft MVP community, that is driving AI, Microsoft AI solutions. So if you join those student ambassador community now, some of those perks will be available for you. Then one of the things I even do myself personally is that, so some of these student ambassadors, they organize events, right? When they organize events like that, there are other perks, benefit that Microsoft gives to them for them to give the participants of such events. It ranges from maybe LinkedIn premium for 6 to 12 months. Azure credits is also available. Sometimes they give vouchers for exams as well. So if all those options is not available, then being in Nigeria, we have a kind of limitation because our card might not work on the portal. But I've tried 2 cards that have worked for me. I've used Providence Bank. I went to the bank to get a platinum card. that card works for me. I was able to use to set up an Azure account, right? But again, you have to ensure that any resource that you're not using, you delete them so that you don't incur costs, especially. Then also another bank card that has worked for me is a dollar card. I've used a Zenith dollar card to actually also open an Azure account, and it also works for me. Yeah.
That makes sense. So to just add to that, mostly, I think you can also familiarize yourself with sandboxes. Microsoft has sandboxes attached to each Microsoft Learn module that you take on. For instance, these AI services are covered mostly under AZ 102,
AI
AZ
900.
102, and AZ 900. So you can get started with them, and each of the learning modules, you can always find sandboxes to start practicing.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Do you have more questions? Ambassador PRU, I cite you, sir.
I remain loyal.
Good to have you join us.
Thank you
So
so
I
much.
guess probably Imo will join the other session for the Azure machine learning.